Hey, friends, welcome to another episode of the show. Today, we're talking to a superintendent. I've met him like in person, live. This is a real dude. Another one of those rural school administrators. Illinois. We've had quite a few from Illinois. I don't know. There's some real bright, shining stars in that great state that finally has a winning football team. Yeah, played in a punk rock band back in the day, and might have some ways to describe how that works into superintending today. This is a guy that's just not about conforming, but really being authentic. It ain't easy being green today. Dr. Todd Dugan, Superintendent, Bunker Hills CUSD number 8. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. It is nice to see you again.
Very good to see you too. Hey, we've got kind of a refined audience on the show that might not know a whole lot about punk rock.
Okay.
Yeah, what is punk rock? Where did it come from? Origins, foundation?
Ugh. So I've always been a fan for a long time. Even like in high school, three friends and I, we formed a punk band that did very, very short gigs around the school district that we had. It was a rural consolidated school district. So
Sure.
we had a few what you call gigs in each of the few towns. There were 8 towns that went to our school district, and I think we hit 3 towns, and then it's a story as old as time itself. The fame, the pressures of, I'm joking. We were terrible, but it was our band name was the Sewer Monkeys, and we launched a tour of McLean, Logan County called "Welcome to the Gutter," and yeah, so it was just a lot of fun. But the reason why I was initially, and my friends were too, we were drawn to punk music just simply because there was this raw energy,
Yeah.
and net makes makes most definitely technical skills for punk bands weren't always top notch. You talk about like the Sex Pistols and even like Nirvana, more commercial punk,
Right,
but
right, right.
the guitar playing and the solos and all that didn't match like some of the technical elite players, that you would know, but the energy could not be matched. And so like you look at like the Ramones, they were trying to copy like Bay City Rollers, and what they ended up doing was creating a whole new genre
A
because they
whole new
found out like
genre.
instead of emulating what somebody else can do, and we could be a second-rate imitator, we're just gonna
Okay,
go.
we're gonna follow that theme, I think, throughout this small little
Yeah,
show today. You think about everybody wanting to be the best.
yeah.
I mean, and all of the things within the traditional school system that says, "All right, you gotta check these 8 boxes,
Mhm.
and you wanna be the best at each one of these 8 boxes." But what you're saying is, it's not really about being the best, because honestly, that's swimming in the same water as
Yep.
everybody else. But how could we be like the only, right? We
Yeah.
started out playing the game, right? Playing in the band, but then we thought, this kind of sounds like every other song that everybody else is listening to. You're not a big fan of like test scores, are you?
I no, I no, I am very proud of test scores.
Okay,
Yes.
you're riding the line. You're riding the line here.
Very
I
proud
get it.
of them because I do think they tell a story, but they tell a part of a story. My aversion to test scores is the amount of pressure and things that it's not the be all end all. Like for example, I was hired here and people would ask me about my thoughts on test scores. And I said, well, if you want the highest test scores in the county, that's easy. You would just drill kids every day on math scores and you would have
Right,
the highest scores around.
right.
Bottom line is kids would hate school. They would lose their love of learning. You would beat the creativity out of it, maybe even suck the joy out of it their day. And if that's what you want, you should probably hire somebody else. And I was still hired. So
Look at that. You're
yeah,
still standing. You and Elton John. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So rural, kind of rural America, you got 600 plus students.
mhm,
Most of the rural school superintendents that I've talked to are kind of in this still survival mode. Been there for the last 10 years.
yep,
We're managing each day. Not you. I'm seeing some of the headlines coming out of your school district. You've got some pretty progressive things going on. You're doing much the opposite of just surviving right now. What
yep.
are some of the real innovative things that have just the lifeblood of your district just pumping right now?
Well, because of our small size, relatively small size, and we're spread out over many, many, like 70 some square miles. But because of our small student size, we're able to personalize things a bit. So what that translates to in a school district is what you were saying. We could emulate the things that everybody else is doing. I can look down the road and see Piasaw District has a much bigger football program, a nicer stadium than us, and be like, oh well, let's try to copy them. Let's try to you know recreate their thing 10
Right.
miles down the road. Or we could say, what is uniquely us? What is it our kids need? And let's just embrace that instead of just um, accepting it. So one of the things was being in a small school, you kind of struggle with like high school in a small high school of 200 kids. You struggle with providing the number of electives available to a big high school, right?
Sure.
So
Sure.
a kid gets to be a junior or senior. They're very quickly looking at the world as like making a living, maybe starting a family, moving out, all the things that normally go to it. A lot of traditional rural schools in the area, at least, are still focused on that traditional model, which is preparing every kid for college, focusing on test scores because you're going to go to college, everybody. You're going to go move away, have fun, move to a dorm, find yourself, maybe party, flunk out, and you'll find yourself. And that's the broken model that people are still kind of following.
Thank you for calling that out as a broken model
It's a totally broken model
in a
because you
broken
don't need to,
system that
yeah.
has repeated itself and has the public still cheering us on
And
while
the
we're
only
going, "We're
people
not."
that benefits is higher ed.
Boom.
They're
Exactly.
benefiting greatly. Now what we do is a little bit different because one of the things that we do is we recognize 50% of our kids, only 50% of our kids go to post-secondary higher learning for college, university, right? That's not a lot.
No,
But the
reframe it
rest
though.
of them,
What are the other 50% doing? Not only
careers.
50%, that's
Yeah.
biased,
Careers, and
right?
it's careers. So we focused on basically a post-secondary plan. We Every child in our high school, beginning their freshman year, has a career college life plan (CCL). We have a CCL, career college life. They are allowed to change it multiple times as they should, but we just are getting away from that model of like you're a freshman, you're going to go to U of I. This is what you need to do. You need 4 years of foreign language, blah, blah, blah. So we actually, in recognizing how expensive higher ed has gotten, we have a partnership with our local community college where instead of taking high school electives,
Yeah.
that let's be honest, in a small school, you struggle. I mean, large schools can have, you know, phlebotomy class or something like we have like Greek mythology from our English teacher. I mean, it's just small staff. So kids are not necessarily interested in the electives, so we instead fill that period with a blend flex option of community college classes. Not only that, but we're trying to get kids to realize that you have the capability to be a college student if that's what you choose. And so our district actually, we did a pilot program 2 years ago, and I had proposed a small amount of money to do a small pilot, and we were going to pay the 15 hours of college for every kid while they're still in high school.
Wait a second. Your district is paying kids to go to college.
Yes, and
Oh,
they are count as concurrent. So, like, if we send them to an English class, we count that as English for high school. So they're earning high school diploma and an associate's degree at the same time. We have a girl this year, May. She's graduating with 2 degrees, high school diploma, actually 3 degrees, phlebotomy certificate. She just got that certified last night, and then associate's degree from the community college, all at the same time, zero debt,
let's monetize that. What's the value to the parents?
40 grand a year.
40 grand a year.
So if you
Okay.
can get a kid with an associate's degree out the door at high school, you saved 80 grand. 80 grand of student loan debt that can never, ever be discharged, ever.
With
Uh,
zero debt.
Zero debt.
Zero debt, friends.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's okay, the stakes of that, you put it in place of maybe an elective class like a phlebotomy or, we're
Right.
sorry, we're not
Greek
making fun of any
mythology. Greek myth
whatever, Latin,
Yeah.
skateboarding, whatever we do for students these days, but you've made it quite in demand, and you absolutely made it profitable, and I tell you what, why our system is broken, and I'm not a AM radio talk show guy, okay? But the system is broken because we're falling out of demand to our local communities, and we're having a hard time staying solvent, profitable.
or even
Thank you.
relevant,
Thank you.
because, since we've done this program, we have kids moving in from other districts, and parents will cite that we came to a district because of these
So
opportunities.
you're pilfering students from other districts, and you
Yep.
don't have a
Private schools,
fancy
by the way,
and
private schools. They're
and you
moving
don't have a fancy football stadium. I don't get it.
right? It's about opportunity. And I think what one thing that sets our program apart though is that the why on why we did it. We did it because we knew kids needed it. It was the right thing to do. Uh, as opposed to we're going to hold this traditional model because that's how it's always been done and it benefits us. Like I could demand that a kid not go to take a community college course in the flex lab, but stay in Greek mythology because that guarantees provides job security for, I mean, we are the old model is maybe servicing the interests of the adults or employees or community or whatever, but we got to think about the needs of the kids, and this is the whole reason we exist. I mean,
Right there, yeah, it's the difference between preferences held within that haven't changed to the principles that we ought to be pursuing that are more about students,
yep.
family,
And to
and
the
the
credit
community.
of this district, that takes courage. It's a risk,
Yes.
and our community was supportive. Like it's not me that is, I can't, I mean, take credit for it. I think, but I will say it took courage to do it, and we couldn't have done it without the blessing and support of people. And
Yeah,
that's
you're a disruptor. What floor is your office on, sir? Huh?
ground floor. We only have
Ground floor, okay, good. So when they eventually throw you out of there, it's not gonna hurt too bad,
no, not at
right?
all.
That's
No.
good. Okay, so the college credit program, that's one thing, but how about the CNA certification program?
But the CNA is just one of other multiple careers that kids, and that's based on student interest. So students do fill out these surveys. Some of them are administered by third parties that we get the results from, and some are just our own internal surveys. But we guide those career uh, work-based learning certifications based on student interest. For example, now this year we have CNA and EMT, emergency
Okay.
medical tech.
Both
That's
high
because
demand.
yes, and that's what kids want. It used to be when I started here 8 years ago, number one career interest for our high school was healthcare. Number two was education. We don't even have education on the radar. Kids do not want to be a teacher. Uh, that's
Wait,
it's fallen off. So
okay,
if
we
we had
can't
an
force
education
anybody.
interest, we would have an education pathway.
Okay.
If next year kids say I want to be, we have an overwhelming demand for machinists. I guarantee you, we would find a way to collaborate, work with a local partner to create a machinist pathway.
That's what I love about it. I mean, you have a great big footprint that's getting bigger nationally. I mean, in terms of your influence beyond your school system, but a lot of us are chasing those national trends and saying, well, we need drone photography because that's what's real. What? Okay, let's have a drone photography. You're saying, no, I'm going to step across the curb and have a conversation with one of our community partners to define what programs it is that we ought to be generating here.
Yeah,
Not some headline on the East Coast or
right.
that's what I love about what you're doing. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
mean, I don't know
love
if
it.
it's glamorous or, all that, but it is common sense. Is if the kids are saying, this is what I like to do, and B, there's a need for it, and then C, you can make a decent living with it. To me, that's the equation for happiness. So why would we not? I mean, it's why we're here, right? You want to make every kid as productive, reach their full potential. I mean, what is full potential? Would that mean like starting a family, being happy and being able to afford it? That's
Yeah,
where is it?
worthy work in a
I mean,
loving community that
yeah,
cares and supports for its own. Why
because
not?
happiness doesn't equate to having 3 diplomas behind you and making 6, 7 figures either. Um,
Preach. Okay, you took away my 80s movie trivia class. Now, I shouldn't, as a teacher, be very respectful to you as a superintendent because you're creating all these things that the community wants. But you've got pretty decent teacher retention going on. Your teachers are not
92%.
leaving.
Right.
They're not leaving.
No.
What's keeping them there?
I think it's the culture, the climate. It's like I think people, I think our teachers, they work very, very hard. We have a lot of dedicated teachers. And I would say, like some of the programs that we've tried here, other districts, and ours is a unionized district too, which is just more, just more processes in place. So it makes it a little bit more cognizant of, changing and working conditions and things like that. But I think when you have the collective buy-in is like, this is why we're doing this. We're not doing this to go cheap and lay off teachers and replace them with college tuition. We're not doing that to riff teachers. We're doing this because our kids need it. And doesn't it feel really good to be a part of something that's that's doing great things
Absolutely.
beyond
Everybody
measure.
wants to be a part of a winning team, and when you
Yes,
can show what winning looks like
we're showing the success.
in
Yes.
accordance to the values of your community. Again, you're not differentiated from what the needs of your community happen to be. You're not
No,
chasing this. You're not climbing a ladder saying, we got to do this thing so my resume looks more sexy."
no, because
Uh-uh.
I've been here 8 years. I will say when I came, and that's a problem with rural districts in general. I will tell you that it is well known in the education world that small rural districts, the perception is you get somebody on their way up, building the resume, or you get somebody on their way down that's just trying to
Yeah.
safely cushion down to retirement. You know what I mean? Like
The
maybe
interim superintendent that's going to stay there for another 10 years. Yeah.
right, or they've not been so not done so well, and so they're going from big to small and just needing a place to land. Uh,
Right.
I
Right.
was I initially when I started here, my daughter was in third grade, my wife and I, and we looked at the high school and we thought, wow, like it's traditional. It's a traditional high school, very traditional. And we thought maybe, you know what, in 5 years, it may be like time, I mean, we may work in Bunker Hill for 5 years and maybe build that resume and move on somewhere else for my daughter to go to high school. But now, no, my daughter's
That's
a
not the story.
sophomore here. My daughter's a sophomore here. Fell in love with the community, but also that I do say that the school has many opportunities that larger districts do not. Like I said, if Friday Night Lights is the passion, I don't know. I mean, this would not be the district that you would say this is my dream district.
I love a leader that can say, we're not for you because
No,
they're so on purpose. I
and
love
I
that.
feel like that's the blend with punk. You find
Mm.
out your niche. It may be unique, but it's real and it's authentic. And it may not be. You won't look like everybody else, but you just embrace it and be like, right, we don't look like everybody else, but this is who we are.
Okay, from a compliance standpoint, you still must
Yeah, compliance.
salute some things
Yes.
according to your job. You've got a strategic plan probably that you've got to submit periodically, and that yours might have a little different nuance than
Mhm.
most others. But talk to me about your strategic planning thought process and the mindset behind that, and what the work that you're doing across your community.
So, for our strategic plan, it's very simple. It's 6 by 2026. A lot of strategic plans are massive binders with uncountable, immeasurable objects, and it gets to be a jumbled mess. It sits on a shelf. Sometimes districts will pay 30 grand to more for some facilitator to come in
Right,
and
and use sticky
produce.
dots. If we're using
Yep.
sticky dots, then we're doing it right.
Yep. Nope. And so we did it ourselves, and it's called 6 by 26. And it is the six pillars that's important. Community relations,
Yep.
student life, uh, facilities, fiscal stewardship. So those six pillars are basically, they're very broad, and that's basically what our board has said. This is what we value. This is what we as a board can control. We did not have to hire a facilitator.
Good.
We have a
Who led it? Did you lead it?
Well, I would say I facilitated it with the board. Yes, and
Folks,
we used
let
an
me just
AI
tell you right now,
software.
we're
Yeah.
friends, so we're talking over each other.
Yes.
Uh, I get calls all the time. Will you help lead through our strategic planning process? And I always turn it back to the superintendent or the college president and say, do you understand where you want to go over the next 3 years or so? Why don't you lead it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So congrats.
Thank
Congrats.
you. But
Yeah.
there has to be trust too. I know other districts that when they're paying for a consultant because they don't know if the board trusts them or vice versa. So, but what I say, when trust is there, there's no reason why you can't do it yourself. In fact, it's more succinct.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. So good. Well, we've talked about, what you're doing for students. We've talked about, just your look to the future and how you can track to see whether you're progressing or not. We've talked about just this personification of punk rock as it relates to education. Eh, Are there any other topics? Are there any other like hot items going on within your world as a superintendent right now, either locally, but also maybe as you're looking nationally? What are some hot topics going on right now?
I just think overall the overall, I don't know if it's temporary or if it's just a trend or something, but I do love to see the respect that rural schools are getting because if nothing else, rural communities have demonstrated time and time again for decades that we're more resilient. You take a look at the NAEP score, National Assessment of Education Progress. Those scores repeatedly show that urban districts get far more resources, but yet rural students are outperforming them on the NAEP exam, which is a national assessment. So
Right,
that
right.
shows resiliency. And so whether it's resiliency or the fact it's just more respect, I'm thrilled to see rural communities getting the affectionate attention that they so rightly deserve.
Are over half of the districts in the country rural?
Yes. Yes. Yep.
Okay. So if you got most of them doing it more right, that's a big chunk. That's
Yeah.
a weighted value, if you will, for the
And for
greater good.
too long, the it's been a kind of a broken model too. Is everybody's trained like you go to the district here, you be soup, build your resume, you go here. The ultimate goal is to go to a big urban district, and that's when you know that you've really made it. And I don't subscribe to that. And I think that's gonna. I think we're seeing that now. Is like you're neglecting half of the school districts in the country, over half of the school districts in the country. I mean, 72% of the United States, period, is rural. So
Hmm. Are you doing a pretty good job of closing the gaps that your community expects you to close?
I believe so. Now we're about to find out because we were just chosen for a 15-month fellowship through a grant process. Over 100 districts nationwide applied, and 10 were chosen, and Bunker Hill was one of the 10. So that will be announced in February on their website. So I
Okay.
shouldn't say anything else, but it just that whole point is like that is a fellowship where we're going to be getting a community design and assessment of where we are. Possibly they could say you're killing it here. Maybe let off here because there's no return on investment there. You're working very hard here, not really paying off for you. Just a neutral outside party, but then also facilitated with our community to redesign things for the better. So I'm
We'll
excited
be
about that.
definitely on the watch to see how all of that progresses. Okay, Mr. Rural, I'm wearing a green shirt today, guy.
For Christmas.
Keeping it real. Let's do a little bit of a lightning round. Okay, don't you're you're kind of cerebral. That's I know you to be. I mean, I'd want you on my Trivia Pursuit team, I believe. But don't overthink this. Okay,
Okay.
don't overthink it. I got a few questions. Right. First one is a quote that you live by.
The quote is by Lewis Carroll. I mean, there's a few, but one I really like is by Lewis Carroll that basically says one of the deep secrets of life is that all it's worth doing in the end is what we can do for others. So
Mm,
there's the things you can do for rewards and pay and all that, and but the things we do for others, that's really, I don't know, it speaks to me.
it matters most. Yeah, it's the stuff that matters most, right? Are you a morning person or night owl, boss?
I can do both, but I'm probably more of a night person. Actually, I've got a sticker on my fridge that says "Stay up late, wake up early, stay up late, change the world."
You're not messing around. Mm. One decision that you'd make 10 times over. Be careful with this one.
10 times over here. Years ago, I was recruited by another district that with a impressive reputation, impressive budget. By all outside appearances, would be a prestige move. And if I was maybe more vanity focused, I guess, or monetarily as my primary driver, by all amounts, I mean, my friends at the time, I'd talk to my very close friends, like, I don't know about this, and but they were recruiting me, and they were like, "Well, you're not worried about you. This is stupid. This is a dream job." But I stayed in Bunker Hill because I just knew the work here was not done, and since that point, I feel like that was a bridge in the a fork in the road, so to
Yeah,
speak.
a
And
decisive moment.
that's when you say, like, you may notice like headlines or things like waves being made. Those have all been made since that decision was made. So I'd make it 10 times over.
Oh, the trust and
Everything
faith.
happens for a reason.
Absolutely, absolutely. Even though you are closer, I think, to St. Louis than you are Chicago, are you one of those thin crusts or thick crust guys?
I like both. If I'm really hungry, I want a thick crust because but if I'm in a hurry, I want a thin crust because it only take like 9 minutes to cook versus 49. But I do love the Chicago White Sox. So
There we go.
and I grew up a little bit north of here at exactly like I think there was maybe a few miles difference, the exact halfway point between St. Louis and Chicago.
There it is. Best lesson from punk rock that you can translate into the superintendency.
I think the message is being true to yourself and not wanting to conform for the sake of fitting in. Um, on the opposite side too, not necessarily wanting to stick out just for the sake of sticking out either. Sticking out for doing the right thing and owning it and being proud and being like, yes, this is why we do what we do.
Next time we have you,
Sometimes the most punk rock thing could be, wearing a green shirt to a Christmas concert, but
there it is.
knowing deep down that we do compliance to be compliant because we have to, but we serve a greater purpose, which is kids.
Nobody knows what's on that T-shirt behind that green shirt. There
Nope.
it.
It may not be a Rancid T-shirt,
It
like
may
the
not.
band Rancid, not to smell rancid. The
Right, and
band.
you gotta comb that hair down from the mohawk when you're out in public.
No, don't have it anymore. Uh,
All right, Todd, if you weren't a superintendent today, what would you want to be doing?
uh, we have a very large dairy farm outside of town here, and so I do think like there are those certain occupations that everybody knows you don't go into to get rich, such as education. I think farming is a noble cause. Very
Dairy
noble.
farming? Specifically dairy farming?
Well, the dairy farm is here, but I just think overall farming is a
Okay.
very noble cause. And maybe that's just from all my time serving rural families. But I do think the more I see it, the more it's like that really truly is noble. And I don't think people recognize how much civilization owes to farming,
Amen.
agriculture.
Amen. We didn't get a chance to really talk much about your backstory, but I understand that you had a guidance counselor that didn't provide you with a whole lot of guidance back in the day, and we're going to respect in absentia that person. But what do you think that that person may be thinking about you today?
Honestly, I don't even feel like that person would knew me.
Hmm.
Sadly, I mean, it was a very large high school. I think we had 269 in each class, so that's very large for rural. Because, like I said, we were consolidated. Yeah,
Wait a second. You grew up in Atlanta. I don't.
Atlanta, Illinois. Yes, population 1,600. Yeah,
Salute.
yeah.
Salute. Let's talk about Bunker Hill. One word or a phrase that would really define its future.
Uh, I mean, I just think focused.
Focused.
Yeah,
Yeah.
focused
The,
on future focus. I mean, one
the
word. I don't
leader.
know. Forward
The
focus.
leader creates the focus culture. Okay. Everybody's talking about AI. So your most masterful teacher in the classroom today versus AI at Bunker Hill. Who's going to win?
Well, the easy answer is obviously our teacher. Uh, do I think AI has a place? Absolutely. Do I think it is going to be there to augment? 100% if used correctly. Collaborator, co-creator, sure. It's going to has the potential to take the um, capabilities even further of a qualified human. But just like when everybody went to Chromebooks and iPads and one to one and thought
Yeah.
like,
Going to
this
change the
is
world.
yeah, no, you give kids uh you give a class of kids an iPads with a bad teacher, and guess what? You've got still a bad class with iPads. Same. You can have AI with a terrible teacher, and you're still going to have a terrible class that's also being influenced by AI. So, and the part that is more of the art piece of teaching
Yeah.
rather than the science, because human connection, that makes me say like all the things that we push on our kids with these careers, it's all soft skills. Like soft skills are the primary predictor of success anyway. We know this.
They're the
So,
hardest skills, folks.
right. Yeah. So the soft skills is why the teacher will win every time.
Dr. Todd Dugan, everybody, you've just been given a master class, honestly, in how the basics actually move your communities, your teams to positions of brilliance. Yeah, budget matters, it kind of does, but I think mindset matters even more so, right? And Todd,
And
you've
climate
you've
and culture of
demonstrated that. You've demonstrated that, sir, and you are You're differentiated from most of the superintendents that I bump into. Any last words of encouragement for our listeners out there?
No, but your comment about differentiated, I will say early in my superintendency, that used to bother me. I used to try to emulate others,
Yeah.
and I still do. I mean, to a bit. Like I do wear a tie, obviously, but yeah, I stopped trying to emulate a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there's not much attractive to sameness. Anyways,
That's it.
thanks again. Thanks again.
Thank
Hey, if
you.
you're a superintendent out there and you've got excuses about your district size, maybe your budget, maybe just your geography, you've just seen that Todd proved that these are excuses, right? The question isn't, can I do this? I think it's what's stopping me from trying. Isn't that what it's all about? What's
Yes.
stopping me from trying? I think the world needs to study up on what's going on at Bunker Hill.
Wow.
What's your website? How do they get a hold of you?
bhcusd.org.
That's not an easy
Also,
one to remember. bhcusd.org.
yes,
Minutemen? Is that what you are?
that's our mascot. Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's got
Go
that
Minutemen.
American Revolution connection between Bunker Hill and the Minutemen.
This has been a joy.
It has.
Dr. T. Peace, friends.